Hi everyone, welcome to Ag Economics, your first lecture. I'm your teacher, Mrs. Boyd. So each week I will record a lecture. Hopefully I can complete it in 15 minutes. That's how much time I have normally. This one might take a little bit longer. But anyway, our first lecture for this week is going to be agricultural productivity in California. And this really isn't in a book or anything. The website here, the CDFA website, is your source of information where I got the information for this lecture. So anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Let's take a look at things here. So California agriculture is big business. It's worth almost $50 billion in direct farm sales. So that means things that haven't been processed yet, things that are right off the farm, like processing tomatoes that haven't been turned into tomato sauce yet and things like that. California is the world's fifth largest supplier of food and agricultural commodities in the world. It stands alone, not the United States, just California. And California is the number one agricultural producer and exporter in the U.S. And unlike many states, California produces over 400 different agricultural crops. So, an idea of the top 5 states for productivity in agriculture. Number 1 is California with just under $50 billion this year. Number 2, distant number 2, is Iowa with $27.6 billion. Nebraska, or Texas, Nebraska, and Minnesota. So California's head and shoulders almost double what Iowa produces and more than double what Texas produces. So keep that in mind. That gives you an idea of the value of agriculture in California. A few more amazing facts. California leads the nation. Let's see, I got to put me somewhere. California leads the nation in dairy production, even though the dairy industry has struggled in recent years. It is still an important part of agribusiness in California. Produces about 21% of the U.S. total fluid milk, which is about 1 out of every 5 glasses of milk consumed in the U.S. is produced in California. California produces about 1/3 of the entire nation's vegetables and about 2/3 of the domestically produced fruits and nuts. California produces about 13% of the nation's total agricultural output on 4% of the total farmland. So California farmers are very efficient. Okay, moving around here. California's leading counties for production ag. About 9 of the top 10 counties, leading counties for ag production, are found in California. Here you have the top 5. So you have Fresno. This changed since the last time I did this presentation. This data is from 2018. It's the most recent. So Fresno County, Fresno's a big county, leads this year. Kern County, which is where Bakersfield is the southern half of the state, and then Tulare. If you've been to the Tulare Farm Show, you know where that is. Tulare is also a big flat county. It grows a wide variety of products. We're going to see that in a minute. Monterey County, you know where Monterey, Bay Aquarium and places you go to visit in Monterey is, but you might not realize that that is a huge agriculturally productive area with the Salinas Valley and Watsonville, where we grow lots of strawberries. And then the county you're sitting in, if you're here, you might be sitting somewhere else since this is virtual, but Stanislaus County has moved up the ranks and is now the 5th state in California, the 5th ranking county in California for agricultural productivity. Okay, I'm just going to keep moving me around. Fresno County is the number 1 county. What is Fresno good at? Well, Fresno produces a lot of almonds, a wide variety of livestock, including cattle, dairy, and poultry. Fresno County produces pistachios and grapes used for winemaking. Table grapes and raisin grapes are all produced in Fresno County. And the $7.9 billion in value for Fresno County is more than 23 other states. So there are other states, their whole productivity in agriculture doesn't match what one county in California does. So that's an amazing little fact. Kern County is next, down by Bakersfield. Kern County, we have table grapes, almonds, pistachios, those are pistachios, and dairy products, worth about 7.4 billion in value. Tulare County, the major commodities are Tulare rhymes with dairy, so it's always milk. Navel Oranges, that's the home of Sunkist Growers, the world's largest citrus co-op. Very big export crop, especially to Asian countries. Table grapes and cattle and calves. So that is Tulare County's claim to fame. So those are the only ones. I just did the top 3. So you might be asking yourself, where am I going to put myself here? Why is California the #1 farm state? Well, the #1 reason why California is the #1 farm state is because we don't put all our eggs in one basket. We have production diversity. California produces over 400 different agricultural commodities. A commodity is like a crop or a livestock product. So you might have traveled to Iowa or Missouri or somewhere in the Midwest, and I know myself have been to Iowa and Missouri both, and when you go there, you see one crop as far as your eye can see, and that is corn. So those states have far less crop diversity than California does. Iowa and a lot of the Midwestern states specialize in corn production, some livestock production, soybean production, cotton, and wheat. California does not. California has high value commodities and many different products. So the most valuable, and don't get this wrong on the test, the most valuable commodity that California produces is still milk and cream. And I love when you tell me you don't drink milk, because you might not drink milk, but unless you are vegan, you probably consume dairy products in many of the things you consume on a daily basis. If you think about yogurt and ice cream and chocolate and all the things that milk and cream are in. So if you don't consume fluid milk, don't tell me you don't consume dairy products, because you do. Grapes are #2 agricultural crop or commodity from a dollar value. Almonds are #3. So don't tell me the most valuable commodity is almonds in California. It's not right. Milk and cream is the most valuable commodity. You got to learn. You're in college. You're learning something. You don't just use your preconceived notions. Miscellaneous crops. This is a complicated one. This includes horticulture crops. It includes miscellaneous vine crops and berries. Berries like strawberries, raspberries, and blueberries are big business for California. So that was a new change for this year. And then cattle and calves at 3.8 billion. Okay, moving on. So California has production diversity. We grow over 400 different crops. Some of the crops that we grow are only grown in California. That's what is meant by exclusive. So crops like raisins, walnuts, figs, almonds, clover seed, olives, they could be grown in another country in the world, but they're not grown anywhere else in the United States. So California has, exclusive production of these commodities. I'll let you try to figure out what that is. A cling peach, you can Google it. And what's another name for a dried plum? You might see that on some quiz or something coming up. Okay, so California, why is it the #1 farm state? Well, we know the first reason was production diversity. Second one is high value commodities. So California produces commodities that are very valuable in terms of the price that a farmer receives for them. So the example I gave you is strawberries versus wheat. So, if you were to give, a price by the weight, obviously a bushel of wheat or a pound of wheat isn't worth very much money compared to a pound of strawberries. Remember, these are sometimes called specialty crops or niche market crops, but what they are to California is high value commodities. We all know that almonds have, increased in productivity in the Central Valley because they are considered to be a healthful food, and they are expensive to produce, but they are a high value commodity, and that is something California specializes in. So 27% of California's farms produce commodity sales over $100,000 as compared to 20% nationwide. Okay, the third reason after production diversity, high value crops, the third reason is our land and climate. So for one thing, California is a big state, not as big as Texas, but it's big. About 100 million acres in the state. About 25 or 1/4 of them are farmed, and about of those that's in production, about 25% of that are actually irrigated. California has extremely fertile soil. Our Central Valley, which is about 300 miles long, is where most of our agricultural production takes place. So California has a Mediterranean climate, which makes for mild, damp, foggy winters and hot, dry summers. Mediterranean climate, your country that has a Mediterranean climate, that is one where a lot of California's crops originated, is Spain. So you can remember that. Okay. Why is California the #1 farm state? Reason number 4 is location. So California is located on the Pacific Rim, which is considered to be a perfect location for export. About a great proportion of California's crops that we grow are high value export crops. So things like I told you, navel oranges, almonds, those are all very exportable. So California is a long state. We have 4 major shipping ports. You could probably think of a few of them. A couple of them are in the northern half, and a couple of them are in the southern half of the state. We export about $21 billion in agricultural value. That's up from last year. Almonds, pistachios, dairy products, wine, and walnuts. The #1 destination for almonds is the European Union. The #1 destination for pistachios is China and Hong Kong. #1 destination for dairy products is Mexico. #1 destination for wine is European Union. And the #1 destination for walnuts, which was a big switch, is the European Union. So you might be able to tell, just looking at that, what California's #1 export partner is. So our top 10 destinations for California agricultural exports are, the #1 is European Union. So that is, a group of countries. So it's a little bit distorted. It's not one single country, it's a group of countries. And then our northern neighbor is a very good trading partner, kind of a cold climate. They can't grow a lot of the things we can grow in a Mediterranean climate. So Canada is our #2 trading partner. And then China, followed by Japan, Korea, Mexico, India, Vietnam, United Arab Emirates, and Taiwan. So these 10 export destinations account for about 70% of California's export value, European Union being the #1 trading partner. And our export value, as I said already, was $21 billion in 2018. Okay, so let's talk. I don't think I'm going to make the 15 minutes here. I'm going to have to give you a little second edition. So let's talk a little bit about comparative advantages for California agriculture. So a comparative advantage is an advantage that California has over another state. Let's take #1. #1, California. #2 is Iowa. So California has a comparative advantage in agricultural productivity because California is located on the Pacific Rim, which is a very important body of water for trade. California has a comparative advantage over Iowa because of our access to technology. Remember, the Silicon Valley is in California, and that is where much of our cellular technology, huge amounts of technology originate in the Silicon Valley. California is a melting pot of cultures. We have a wide variety of cultures, and that allows us to discover new markets. It allows better communication with export markets. And then our climate and soil, climate in particular, compared to Iowa. Okay, I'm going to stop there, and you're going to get a little second part 2. I have a few more slides to go over. So I'm going to go ahead and stop.